Hi guys, I love the film. I'm sure you've heard that a lot today from everyone, but it's so good.
Very cool, man. Thank you.
I'm going to start. Can we just talk about Viola Davis for a moment? That woman is insanely good in everything she's in. When you work with someone like that and that committed to a role, it must just raise the game of everyone on set.
Yeah. It raises the bar because she's committed to the role. But I think it's important to note, particularly when it comes to this industry, that sometimes people are only celebrated because of how deep into a role they got. Your on-set conduct as a person and as a human being and offset is just as important, sometimes more important. So I think the reason why we all celebrate her is because she's just a wonderful person. And that dedication that she has to being the best version of herself as a collaborator and as a human being then bleeds into her work, and her real passion when it comes to actually trying to understand the human condition and get the best out of her characters. So we learn from her in a very holistic way, not just from her craft, but also just her being who she is.
Because from the interviews I've seen, it sounds like everyone on the shoot really boosted each other, and it felt like sounded like such a supportive environment. Was that the case, and how much does that help the finished product, do you think, when that spirit and camaraderie is that strong?
It's nice to have an ensemble of people both in front and behind the camera who are just nice and understood why we're there, understood the assignment, excellent at what they do, and also just are showing up to do something great for the world. This is such a shift in the industry. We are creating the blueprint for this kind of film, and for women and for Black people and for everything that this movie represents. To have us all together doing that whilst having fun and pushing boundaries, both as an individual and as an industry, reminded me of the kind of work that I need to do as an individual, reminded me of what 100% means. I don't think I really felt that until this movie, and we've all worked really hard in our careers, but this 100% is different. It's different. And it's wonderful. And it's incredible to just celebrate that proudly with the least amount of cockiness. We're just proud.
You need to put more emphasis on just being nice.
It makes all the difference.
It really does. And John, I was going to come to you because I loved the king characters on this, because I think in popular culture sometimes kings can always be one of two things. They can just be good kings or they can just be bad kings. But this king is quite flawed, but he's a good person. He's kind of nuanced. He's not just one thing, this character. How important was it for you that he remained such a well-rounded creation?
Yeah, it was very important, especially in considering his position. This is a guy that I don't think that was emotionally ready for this position. So low key, he knows that he needs help in order to kind of like safeguard his transition into power. So with playing with him, I was just kind of like, you know, in discussions with Gina, that can we have some fun? Like, can he be a bit typical in terms of, you know, being an African man? Can we like look into that? And Gina was like, yeah, we can. And I think that's a huge contrast to what the ladies are doing. And then when it's a call to action, he gets serious, you see that transition with him as well. So I just think that's just the fun in building characters that people love.
And for all three of you, in regards to sort of the accents, as actors, do you find it helps to keep them up during the shoot? Or when Gina would sort of shout cut, would you all go back to your usual voices?
Imagine. Can you imagine?
I was talking like that, but I can't lie.
That's why
I was talking like that. Most of the time. Look, it was the combination of the robe. You don't want to ask for a drink any other way. You know what I mean? Bless him. Can't get me that drink. Come and give me the drink. There was just something about
that makes sense, baby. That makes sense.
Yeah.
There was just something about staying in it. It was just fun. It was just fun. And everybody was, you know, once in a while you'd see that, you know, people were rehearsing lines and practicing accents and getting notes from the dialect coach. So it's like, you know, whatever keeps everybody in it, you know.
Yeah.
And you don't do it in a corny way. It's because you normally are just enjoying the role or whatever. But I think that you lot sounded great.
Thanks. Yeah. You know, it helped not to do the accent for me, just to give, it was such hard work physically. It was nice to take a break anywhere you could. So I just usually held a corner and just spoke in my own accent and just like put my machete down and tried to have a small departure from where I was at to just regroup.
Yeah, same. I think I spoke in it when I was like ranting about something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
You
what?
can't,
It's easier to just be annoyed in this place here.
Yeah.
And then when it's cool, then I was just
chill.
Sheila
Yeah.
from Essex.
This doesn't work.
Sorry, can someone help me?
Right, love. I'll get a cup of tea, please. Thank you.
My final question is because I remember I interviewed Dev Patel a while ago, and he said by going back and making films in India, like Slumdog Millionaire, for example, he said he thought it sort of brought him closer to his own heritage in a way by going there and filming and getting into the head of characters. Would you say as actors that's a real perk for you guys too? Do you find that through this job, through these stories, through these characters, it brings you a bit closer in some ways to your culture and sort of family history?
Definitely.
I think also knowing, for me personally, it's the experience of doing it, but also knowing who I'm making it for, knowing that there were people back home in the UK, but like from the continent or even people on the continent, knowing that I was contributing to something that we would eventually hand over to them was a really big deal for me. And they were always in my mind when I was shooting person.
Cool, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, guys. Best of luck with the release of the film.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,